It used to bring comfort. Now it leaves questions. You close the door, you do what you've done for decades, but instead of peace, there's a strange restlessness afterward, a heartbeat that races, a heaviness in your chest, a flicker of shame you didn't expect. You wonder, quietly, privately, is this still good for me? You don't ask your doctor, so you don't tell your friends. You just keep going, hoping it's normal. Here's the truth no one told us. Masturbation after 70 is different. Not bad, not wrong, but different. Because your body is now playing by a new set of rules. And if you don't learn them, you may unknowingly be doing harm. Not just to your prostate, your heart, or your hormones, but to your confidence, your sleep, even your memory. In this video, we're going to talk about the 5 most common mistakes older men make when it comes to self-pleasure. But more than that, we're going to talk about something deeper. What it means to still desire touch, but not know how to receive it anymore. What it means when physical release becomes a routine instead of a moment of joy. What happens when the screen satisfies your body but slowly starves your soul? This isn't a lecture. This is a mirror, one that reflects back not just your habits, but your history, your loneliness, your hopes. Because the act of self-pleasure, when done with care, can still be beautiful. But when done on autopilot, it can quietly become a thief of energy, of clarity, of meaning. So if you've ever felt that shift, if you've ever wondered why the comfort is fading, this conversation is for you. Stay with me. You were never told this would need to change. Not like your diet, not like your knees or your sleep schedule. Masturbation was supposed to stay the same, something personal, private, reliable. But somewhere along the way, your body started playing by different rules. It's subtle at first. You might feel just a little more tired after, or find yourself short of breath, muscles tightening in places that used to feel free. Maybe your sleep isn't as deep anymore, or your heart takes longer to calm down. And still, you tell yourself it's normal, you're just aging. And that's true. But what no one says is this: when your body changes, but your approach to pleasure doesn't, that's when silent damage can begin. At this stage in life, the nervous system doesn't recover as fast. Your cardiovascular system works harder. Blood vessels are less elastic. Skin is thinner. And the pelvic floor muscles, those quiet supporters of your core strength, balance, and bladder, are far less forgiving than they used to be. Every breath, every squeeze, every moment of stimulation now carries more weight than it did at 40, or 50, or even 60. And yet, most older men keep practicing self-pleasure with the same pace, the same pressure, and the same urgency they've known for decades. Without realizing, the system they're working with has changed dramatically. Think of your body like an old vinyl record. Years ago, you could spin it fast, toss it around, and still enjoy the music. But now, it's a precious classic. If you play it too fast, too loud, too often, what once sounded rich and alive becomes warped, cracked, and out of tune. That's what overstimulation can do, not just physically, but neurologically, especially when we bring modern content into the picture. Today's digital pornography is engineered for intensity. It's faster, more fragmented, designed to hijack the brain's dopamine system. And while younger brains may adapt and bounce back, older brains, already coping with natural dopamine decline, don't recover as smoothly. The result? You need more to feel less. You scroll longer, watch edgier content, and feel less satisfied each time. And this craving for just enough stimulation, it tires your brain, it floods your nervous system, and worse, it slowly dulls your sensitivity to real touch, to connection, to natural joy. Then there's the prostate, the quiet center of male health after 70. It's already growing, already more sensitive, already affecting how you urinate, how you sleep, how you feel pressure in your belly. Add frequent tension, clenching, or rushed ejaculation to the mix, and the body begins to whisper, "Please slow down. I can't handle this like I used to." But how often do we listen to that whisper? Because here's what's never explained. Self-pleasure after 70 is not just about the act. It's about the context. What else is going on in your body while you do it? Are you holding your breath? Are your hips tight, lower back sore, muscles trembling? Are you chasing the finish line or savoring the process? The insight here is simple, but powerful. What once worked no longer works the same way. And if we don't adjust with compassion, the very thing we turn to for relief may start to quietly steal from us instead. But here's the good news. Your body is not broken. It's just speaking a new language. And once you learn to listen, to pace, to soften, to breathe again, your experience of pleasure can become richer than ever before. Not because it's fast, not because it's hard, but because it's honest. It's gentle, and it honors the wisdom of your years. This isn't about giving something up. It's about finally receiving it the way your body has been asking for all along. You don't talk about it, but you feel it. Somewhere between the quiet moments of the day and the even quieter ones at night. You're lying in bed, everyone's asleep, the house is still, and the only sound left is the soft humming of your own thoughts. You don't touch yourself because you're desperate. You touch yourself because it fills the space, because it brings back a sense of routine, control, familiarity. But then, afterward, instead of peace, you just feel hollow. Not always, not dramatically, but quietly, like something is missing, and you don't know what. That's what happened to Walter. He never saw it coming. At 73, he still had desire, still felt alive, still believed in connection. But ever since his wife passed, the evenings stretched longer, the TV felt louder, and the world somehow became more distant. He began to masturbate more often, almost without realizing. At first it felt comforting, a way to stay in touch with himself. But slowly something shifted. It no longer gave him the same lightness. It started to feel more like maintenance, like brushing his teeth. He would finish and stare at the ceiling, unsure why his chest felt heavier. And worst of all, he didn't know how to talk to anyone about it. How do you say, "I'm lonely," when people already assume you've adjusted? That's the quiet grief of many older men. They don't fear the act. They fear what the act is covering up. Some are still chasing the old version of themselves, the one who felt confident, masculine, potent. Some are using screens at night, scrolling until something finally works. Some feel relieved, but then somehow sadder after. Some haven't felt truly touched, not sexually, but meaningfully, in months, even years. And many keep wondering, is this just what getting old feels like? But let's be honest. This isn't about age. It's about absence. The absence of warmth, of safe space, of conversations that go deeper than small talk. Because what most men want isn't just an orgasm, it's to feel connected again. to be reminded that they are still worthy of care, of attention, of slow affection. They want someone to ask, "How are you really?" and mean it. But they've spent decades being providers, problem solvers. They were taught to keep going, keep working, keep silent. So when emotions start to whisper, they turn to the only space that feels safe, their own body. And even then, it's not always safe because it brings up questions they're not sure how to answer. Why do I feel more alone afterward? Why is it harder to relax now than before? Why does my body feel more like an object to manage than a place to rest? You're not alone in this. There are thousands, millions of older men asking those same questions, feeling that same uncertainty, holding that same tension in their chest. And the truth is, it's not because you've done something wrong. It's because you've gone too long without being reminded that your body is still sacred, that your needs still matter, that your pleasure deserves softness, not silence. So if you've ever finished and felt emptier than before, if you've ever paused and thought, "Is this really working for me anymore?" If you've ever longed for something more but didn't know how to name it, then this story is also your story. And what comes next might just offer the clarity you've been quietly searching for. You may think you're doing everything right. You're staying private. You're not hurting anyone. You're simply taking care of a need you've had for decades. But what if, without realizing it, you've been carrying 5 small habits that are slowly wearing you down? Not all at once, not obviously, but quietly, consistently. Let's walk through them together. Not to blame you, not to scare you, but to shed light on what your body may have been trying to tell you all along. First, there's the pressure, the kind you don't notice at first. Maybe it's the pace, maybe it's the grip, maybe it's the goal of finishing quickly. But the truth is, when you treat self-pleasure like a race, or worse, like a performance, you're asking your body to operate under stress. At 70 and beyond, this pressure doesn't just affect your genitals, it travels. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing shortens, your pelvic floor tenses and stays locked longer than it should. And for those with high blood pressure, diabetes, or any cardiovascular history, this tension isn't harmless. It's exhausting. Even if you don't feel it right away, the long-term effects accumulate. Fatigue, muscle tightness, lightheadedness, even pain in the lower back or hips. Walter, for example, didn't think twice when he used to get it done fast. But after a near-fainting spell post-climax, his doctor gently explained, your heart now reacts to stimulation like it would to a sprint, and you're running that sprint lying down. Next, there's the screen. For years, it's been the easiest way to trigger arousal, quick, reliable, visual. But what's happening beneath the surface is far more complicated. Pornography today isn't the same as decades ago. It's designed for shock, for escalation, for novelty, and that means your brain's dopamine system is being flooded over and over with signals it can't process naturally anymore, especially after 70 when dopamine levels are already declining and the brain becomes more sensitive to overstimulation. What does that mean for you? It means your real life starts to feel muted. A hug doesn't excite you the way it used to. A kiss feels flat. Even a deep conversation with someone you care about doesn't light you up inside, because the part of your brain responsible for joy has been overstimulated and now it's gone numb. Walter shared this once quietly. He said, I used to cry during movies. Now I barely feel anything. even when I want to. That's not aging, that's dopamine desensitization. And it's reversible, but only if we stop chasing stimulation and start reconnecting with sensation. Then we move to the prostate, that small gland the size of a walnut sitting beneath your bladder does more than most men realize. It supports ejaculation, it contributes to fluid production, and as you age, it naturally gets larger. For many, this means more frequent urination at night, weaker flow, even occasional dribbling. But when combined with forceful or rushed masturbation habits, the prostate begins to suffer. Too much pressure in that area, whether from holding your breath, tightening the pelvic muscles, or delaying orgasm, can cause inflammation, pain, and long-term discomfort. In some cases, it even masks signs of prostate disease, making it harder for doctors to detect early warning symptoms. Walter once admitted he thought holding back ejaculation might make him stronger. But after weeks of pelvic tension and interrupted sleep, his urologist told him bluntly, "Release isn't a test, it's a reset, and your body needs it fully, freely, without strain." Now comes the hardest one, emotion. Many older men are using masturbation to cope with something they don't have words for. Loneliness, grief, boredom, sadness, loss of purpose. And in the moment it works. It soothes, distracts, comforts. But afterward, the feeling returns, louder. Because the need wasn't physical, it was emotional. You didn't need pleasure. You needed connection. You didn't want realize. You wanted someone to say, "I see you." This doesn't mean the act is wrong, but when it becomes a crutch, a way to avoid rather than engage, it begins to lose its soul. Walter once replaced an evening habit with a walk and a phone call to his niece. She called him the strongest man I know, and that night, he didn't need anything else. He went to bed smiling for the first time in weeks. Finally, there's the shame, the quiet test you never talk about. You lie there wondering if it'll happen. Will I get hard? Will it last? Will I finish? And suddenly, you're not relaxing, you're performing. You're watching yourself, judging yourself, questioning yourself. Every failed attempt adds to the pressure. Every slow start adds to the doubt. And before long, the bedroom becomes a mental battlefield. What you don't realize is that performance anxiety releases cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol is a powerful blocker of sexual function. In other words, the more you worry, the harder it becomes to perform, and the cycle feeds itself. Walter went through this for months until he stopped asking, "Can I still do this?" and started asking, "Do I feel good doing this?" That single question changed everything. So here's the truth. None of these 5 habits make you broken. They make you human. They make you a man who's trying to care for himself, even if the method needs a little adjusting. But once you understand what's happening beneath the surface, you can finally make choices that heal, not harm, that restore, not deplete, that bring peace, not confusion. Your body is ready for that shift. It's waiting for you to stop pushing and start listening. And in the next part, we'll ask the question no one dares to ask out loud, but every older man needs to hear. What are you really reaching for when you reach for yourself? It's not always about pleasure. Sometimes when you reach for yourself, you're not trying to feel good. You're trying to not feel bad. You're chasing a moment of silence, a moment without the ache of loneliness, without the memory of loss, without the question that never quite leaves. Is this all I have left? Let's pause here. No advice, no steps, no instructions. Just one question. Why do I really do this? It's not the reason you tell yourself, the reason that lives underneath that, the one you've never said out loud. Maybe it's because your wife has been gone for years and no one looks at you like she did. Maybe it's because you've felt forgotten by your children, busy, grown, loving from a distance. Maybe it's because the days are long, the nights are longer, and your skin hasn't been touched in a way that feels safe or sacred in over a decade, and you begin to wonder, am I using my body to feel alive? Or am I using it to escape being alive? Because if it's not about joy anymore, what is it? That question isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to free you, because there's another way forward. One that starts not with stopping what you're doing, but with understanding why you do it. So here's a challenge, not one you do with your hands. One you do with your honesty. The quiet challenge, 5 reflections for the next time you're alone. When the urge comes, pause. Don't push it away, don't indulge it right away either. Ask yourself, am I lonely or am I bored? Sometimes we reach for stimulation simply because we don't know what else to do with silence. Am I anxious or truly desiring? If your chest feels tight, your mind is racing, your heart unsettled, this might not be desire, it might be your body asking to be calmed, not aroused. Do I feel seen? And if the answer is no, maybe what you need is a phone call, a face, a voice that says your name. Does this feel sacred or mechanical? Self-pleasure isn't wrong, but if it's rushed, numb, routine, it's not nourishing. It's just passing time. Can I touch myself the way I would want someone else to touch me? Gently, slowly, with warmth, with care. These questions aren't rules. They're mirrors, held up not to judge, but to reveal what's truly asking for attention inside you. And if you want a simple starting point, something to hold on to, try this. The 3-day self-compassion trial. 3 days. No performance tests, no comparisons, no expectations. Just this. Each night, place your hand gently on your chest before you sleep. Breathe in slowly. Say aloud or in silence, I'm still here, my body is still mine, I'm allowed to feel. You'll be surprised how much shifts when the pressure lifts. You don't need to prove you're still a man. You just need to remember you're still human. Change doesn't have to be big to be real. Sometimes, all it takes is 5 quiet days. Not to fix you, not to shame you, but to give your body a chance to speak and your heart a chance to listen. This is not a program. It's not a rule book. It's an invitation to soften, to slow down, to start again. Let's call it what it is. 5 days of coming home. Day 1, pause the performance. The next time you feel the urge, don't rush. Instead of turning it into a task or a test, make it a moment. Turn off the lights. Breathe slowly. Let your body warm up. Not by force, but by presence. Explore with curiosity, not pressure. Touch as if it's the first time. And if you don't finish, that's okay. You've already succeeded because you didn't rush. You respected your pace. You stayed connected. That alone rewires more than you know. Day 2, break from the screen. No videos. No tabs. No scrolling for the perfect image. Instead, go old school. Use memory, use imagination. Read something slow, erotic, poetic, something that moves your mind, not just your eyes. This shift isn't about restriction. It's about restoration. You're giving your brain space to reset, to rebuild sensitivity, to feel again, without needing shock to spark desire. At first, it may feel dull, but stay with it. The quiet pleasure is deeper than you remember. Day 3. Write yourself a love letter. This isn't about romance. It's about remembrance. Sit down, no distractions, no agenda. Write down 3 things you once loved about your body. Not just how it looked, but how it felt, how it moved, what it carried you through, what made you proud. Then write 3 things you've never said aloud, but always wanted someone to say to you. Now read them slowly, as if someone else had written them for you, because your body is listening, and it has waited years to be spoken to with kindness. Day 4. Replace touch with voice. Tonight, when you feel the urge, try something different. Call someone, a sibling, a friend, even a neighbor. Don't just say hi. Ask how they are, share a memory, talk for more than 5 minutes. You might be surprised how much warmth comes from being heard. And after that call, check in with yourself. Do you still need to touch yourself right now? Or did that voice already feel something deeper? Loneliness doesn't always need silence. Sometimes it just needs sound. Day 5. Listen for the signals. Your body is talking every day. Do you hear it? The pressure in your lower back? The way your urination has changed? The tension you feel in your hips after climax? The way your breath shortens too fast? These are not failures. They are whispers. Tonight, before you begin anything, pause. Place your hand on your belly. Take 5 deep breaths. Ask yourself, not your habit, how do I feel? Then ask, what do I need? And if the answer is touch, then proceed gently. If the answer is rest, then rest without guilt. If the answer is connection, then reach for someone, not just something. This 5-day practice is not about giving up. It's about giving in to yourself, to a body that has changed, to needs that have evolved, to a spirit that's wiser, softer, deeper than it used to be. Walter did this. By day 3, he didn't feel less masculine. He felt more human, he told me. It wasn't about stopping, it was about finally feeling like I had a choice again. And that's what this is all about. Freedom, not from desire, but from the patterns that no longer serve your joy. Let your healing begin, not with what you stop doing, but with what you start honoring. Your hands, your breath, your body, your truth. You've waited long enough. Maybe no one has told you this in a long time, but your body is still good, still beautiful in its quiet way, still worthy of kindness, still capable of joy. Even now, especially now, there is no expiration date on the need to feel wanted. There is no age limit on the right to feel safe in your own skin. You're not doing anything wrong. You've just been doing what no one ever helped you rethink. Because the world taught us how to perform, not how to feel. It showed us how to seek release, not how to invite presence. It praised stamina, speed, and strength, but said nothing about stillness, softness, or slowness. And so, we've arrived here. In this chapter of life where the world has gone quiet, but your body still speaks. And all it really asks is this: will you listen to me differently now? What you've done in the past doesn't define your future, and what you've lost does not erase what you still carry. You still carry tenderness. You still carry memory. You still carry the right to be touched with care, even if the hands touching you are your own. That's what this entire conversation has been about. Not masturbation, not mistakes, not control, but awareness, compassion, redemption. Because when you begin to touch yourself with understanding instead of habit, you are no longer just seeking pleasure. You are practicing self-respect. You are telling your nervous system, your heart, your spirit, I am still here, I still matter, and I will not abandon myself. You may be 70, 80, even 90, but your story is not finished. Your need for connection hasn't expired. Your capacity for feeling hasn't disappeared. And your body, despite its changes, aches, and softer rhythms, still belongs to you. Let it be honored. Let it be held. Let it be heard. And now, before we part ways, I want to ask you something. What's one small shift you've made or want to make after watching this? Maybe it's pausing before you rush. Maybe it's breathing deeper. Maybe it's just the first time you said, I deserve gentleness. Whatever it is, share it below. Not for attention, but to remind someone else that they're not the only one growing quietly in their own way. Let's learn from each other. Let's heal out loud, together. And one last thing. What do you want to explore next? Would you like a guide on how to reconnect with your body safely after 75? Or maybe a story on how intimacy can be rediscovered even after decades of silence? Drop your thoughts below. Your voice helps shape what comes next. If you've made it this far, and that deserves something more powerful than applause, it deserves peace.